Take a look at those eggs in your fridge. More than 200 million eggs nationwide, including some here in Florida, being recalled because they may be tainted with salmonella.
You're paying premium prices for eggs that nutritionally match the cheapest ones on the shelf. The difference? Marketing. But here's what's terrifying. 3 of these brands have been quietly connected to something most consumers never check. And it's sitting in your fridge right now. You'd think buying eggs from the biggest retailer in America would be safe, clean, simple. Well, not exactly. Great value eggs come from Cal-Maine Foods. Never heard of them? They're the largest egg producer in the country, controlling over 20% of the entire market. That's one company supplying eggs to millions of families. And here's where it gets interesting. Cal-Maine facilities have repeatedly failed USDA inspections. We're talking rodent droppings found near egg processing areas. Yep, where your breakfast comes from. Delightful, right? But wait, it gets better. In 2024, the company paid $17.7 million to settle price gouging allegations. During the bird flu shortage, when families were struggling to afford groceries, Cal-Maine allegedly jacked up prices. Real classy move. Now let's talk about how these hens actually live. Battery cages. Roughly 67 square inches of space per bird. That's smaller than a standard sheet of paper. I've seen bigger mouse pads. And their cage-free options still allows beak trimming. That's cutting off part of a hen's beak without any anesthesia. Imagine a dentist pulling your tooth with no numbing. Fun stuff. Here's something most people never consider. These massive facilities have insane turnover. Eggs can sit in warehouses for weeks before they ever reach your local Walmart shelf. By the time you crack one open, it's been on quite the journey. Makes you wonder what else is hiding behind those budget prices. Speaking of hidden costs, Costco's bulk egg deal has some surprises you definitely weren't expecting. Costco shoppers love a good deal. Grab a 5 dozen flat of Kirkland eggs for the price of maybe 3 dozen elsewhere. Sounds like a win. But here's what that bulk bargain doesn't tell you. Hillendale Farms supplies those eggs. Ring a bell? It should. Back in 2010, they were responsible for a salmonella outbreak that made 1,900 people violently ill. The company paid $6.8 million in criminal fines. Not civil penalties, criminal fines. That's one of the largest egg-related punishments in American history. And the conditions that caused it? Undercover investigators found hens living right next to decomposing carcasses of dead birds. Just sitting there. Rotting. In the same space where your breakfast eggs were being produced. Now look, I shop at Costco. Those rotisserie chickens? Chef's kiss. But their egg situation gives me pause. Here's another issue nobody talks about. Eggs lose quality fast. After 3 weeks, even properly refrigerated eggs start declining. That 5 dozen flat seems economical until you realize most households throw away 12% of eggs before ever using them. You're not saving money. You're buying expensive garbage. Makes it worse? Kirkland sources from multiple suppliers, so that flat you bought last month might taste completely different from this month's batch. Quality control becomes a slot machine. A few months ago, I had no idea what a health ring even was until my fiancé got me one, and I have to say, I am shocked this isn't a widely known and used product. It tracks my stress levels, and what I found out is that each time I took certain medication, my body's stress levels went up 2 to 3 times my usual levels. So I immediately stopped taking that medication, and I can honestly say this made me feel 10 years younger. My wife mainly uses it to track her menstrual cycles, and she is obsessed with her sleep quality score. I noticed they were running a limited 69% discount, but the offer is expiring soon. It's currently only $60, and it's clear this one is the best bang for your buck, with other health rings priced around $350 with less functions. They managed to price it this low because they cut out the middleman like Amazon, Walmart, etc., who drive up the price and take a big margin, ending up with the customer paying 3 to 5 times more. If you are on TV, you can check it out yourself by pausing the video and scanning the QR code with your phone camera or clicking the first link in the description of this video. The real kicker is, Costco knows about Hillendale's history. They've stuck with them anyway. Apparently, $6.8 million in criminal fines wasn't a deal-breaker, but Kirkland isn't even the worst offender when it comes to misleading customers. That title belongs to a brand charging premium prices for what they call superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. The egg with its own stamp. Fancy, right? Here's the thing. You're paying 50 to 80% more for these eggs. That's a serious markup. And for what, exactly? Their hens eat a patented feed containing marigold extract. Sounds impressive until you realize marigold just changes yolk color. That's it. Your egg looks more orange. Nutritionally, same old egg wearing makeup. Now their big selling point. 25% less saturated fat than regular eggs. Wow! Except those regular eggs they're comparing to? USDA data from the 1970s. That's like bragging, your car is faster than a horse and buggy. Technically true, completely meaningless. I fell for this myself years ago. Thought I was buying something special for my family. Turns out, I was just buying better marketing. Multiple class action lawsuits have called out Eggland's Best for these exact claims. Deceptive advertising, the lawyers said. And honestly, hard to argue with them. That little EB stamp on every shell? Pure theater. It doesn't mean the egg passed some quality test. It means a machine pressed ink onto a shell. My nephew could do that with a rubber stamp kit. Here's what really stung. Consumer Reports ran taste tests comparing Eggland's Best to cheaper store brands. Guess who scored lower? The premium egg with the fancy stamp. You're literally paying extra for eggs that taste worse than the budget option. But wait, there's a brand that takes misleading marketing to a whole new level. And their name couldn't be more ironic. Happy Egg Co. Sounds wholesome, right? That cheerful British branding, those sunny farm images. You'd think these hens are living their best lives somewhere in the English countryside. Plot twist. They're not. See, Happy Egg started in the UK, where animal welfare laws actually have teeth. But their American operations? Totally different ballgame. They follow US standards, which are about as strict as a hall monitor who's also asleep. Here's where it gets frustrating. That free-range label legally requires only 2 square feet of outdoor space per bird. That's roughly the size of a laptop screen. Your hen gets a laptop's worth of freedom. Congratulations. But wait, it gets worse. Investigations found that many Happy Egg farms have outdoor access doors so tiny that most hens never actually step outside. Ever. It's like having a gym membership, where the entrance is the size of a mail slot. Technically available, practically useless. And that heritage breed local farm vibe they're selling? Their eggs come from facilities scattered across multiple states. Some local farm, huh? Now for the real kicker, you're paying $7 to $8 a dozen for practices that barely scratch the surface beyond conventional standards. Barely. Their hens still get their beaks trimmed, a painful procedure that their feel-good marketing conveniently forgets to mention. The whole thing is basically a masterclass in making industrial farming look cozy. But Happy Egg isn't alone in the misleading marketing game. There's another brand that built its entire reputation on being the small farm alternative. Spoiler alert, The reality might surprise you. Nellie's Free Range, the brand with the cute little farmhouse on every carton. You'd think your eggs came from some grandma in Vermont, hand collecting them each morning. Not quite. Nellie's parent company is Pete and Jerry's, and they control over 125 farms across the country. Some of those small family farms they brag about? They house more than 100,000 birds each. That's not a family farm. That's a feathered factory with better PR. Here's where it gets interesting. That certified humane label on the carton? It allows up to 10,000 hens crammed into a single building, with minimal outdoor time. The certification sounds impressive until you read the fine print. And speaking of fine print, their free-range certification has a winter loophole. In northern states, hens can be kept permanently indoors during cold months. So much for ranging freely. But here's what really bugs me. Audits at some Nellie's certified farms found ammonia levels high enough to burn the hens' respiratory systems. We're talking about air so toxic it damages their lungs. Yet that certified humane sticker stays right on the package. Now let's talk money. You're paying $6 to $9 per dozen. For what, exactly? The welfare improvements over standard cage-free eggs are minimal at best. You're basically paying premium prices for premium marketing. I fell for this brand for years. The packaging got me. Lesson learned. But Nellie's isn't the only brand hiding behind wholesome imagery. Target shoppers, you might want to hear what's coming next. Target shoppers, we need to talk. Market pantry eggs come primarily from Rose Acre Farms. That's America's second-largest egg producer. And their track record? Let's just say it's not exactly sparkling. In 2018, Rose Acre recalled 207 million eggs. Not a typo. 207 million. Salmonella contamination sickened at least 35 people across 9 different states. That's a lot of sick people from something as simple as breakfast. But here's where it gets truly gross. FDA inspectors visiting Rose Acre facilities found live rodents scurrying around. Flies everywhere. And maggots. Actual maggots. In the chicken feed storage areas. I've seen cleaner conditions at my nephew's college apartment. And trust me, that's saying something. The company has racked up over 20 warning letters from regulators in just the past decade. 20 letters! At some point, you'd think they'd get the message. Then there's the freshness problem. Market pantry eggs often travel 500-plus miles from Midwest facilities before landing on Target shelves. Every mile means more time. More time means older eggs. And the founder of Rose Acre, he once dismissed animal welfare concerns as just marketing nonsense. Real charming guy. Look, I shop at Target too. Those red carts are basically therapy on wheels. But their eggs? That's where I draw the line. Now you might think these problems are limited to budget brands. Premium options must be different, right? Well, Safeway's Lucerne eggs have their own set of issues that might surprise you even more. Safeway and Albertsons shoppers, we need to talk about Lucerne eggs. Here's what makes this brand different from the others. And not in a good way. Lucerne doesn't have a consistent supplier. They buy from whoever offers the cheapest deal that week. One carton might come from a decent farm in California. The next could be from a facility in Mexico that took 2 weeks just to cross the border. You're playing egg roulette every single time. And the quality control issues? They're documented. In 2019, Safeway faced lawsuits for selling Lucerne eggs past their expiration dates in multiple California stores. Expired eggs. On the shelf. For sale. That's not a supplier problem. That's a we don't care problem. But here's something most people don't notice. Crack open a Lucerne egg and look at that shell. Notice how thin it is? almost paper-like? That's a red flag. Thin shells mean the hens aren't getting enough calcium in their diet. And when producers cut corners on hen nutrition, you can bet they're cutting corners everywhere else too. Customer complaint forums tell the real story. Blood spots, weird odors, watery whites. These reports pop up more frequently for Lucerne than almost any comparable store brand. My grandmother had a saying about bargains. Cheap comes out expensive. With Lucerne, you might save 50 cents per dozen. Then you crack 3 eggs into your pan, and one smells like a chemistry experiment gone wrong. Worth it? I don't think so. Now, enough about what to avoid. Let's talk about where your money actually belongs. Now let me tell you about an egg brand that actually walks the walk. Vital Farms gives each hen 108 square feet of outdoor pasture. That's not a typo. 108. Compare that to the 2 square feet free range requires, and you start seeing why this company matters. But here's what really sold me. They have live webcams on their website. You can literally watch the hens roaming around whenever you want. Try finding that transparency from Cal-Maine or Hillendale. You won't, because they've got nothing worth showing. The farms themselves stay small. We're talking 6,000 birds, or fewer per operation. That's basically a rounding error compared to facilities housing millions. And Vital Farms partners with over 300 family farms across the country, keeping things local and manageable. What about freshness? Their eggs hit store shelves within 5 to 10 days of being laid. Remember those 30-plus day warehouse situations we talked about earlier? Yeah, this is the opposite of that. And those deep orange yolks you see? That's not food coloring or marigold extract tricks. That's actual beta-carotene from real pasture grazing. Bugs, grass, plants. The stuff chickens are supposed to eat. Third-party inspectors show up monthly. Not annually. Monthly. Someone's always checking. Now look, Vital Farms costs more. Usually around $6 to $7 per dozen. That's roughly 50 cents per egg. Less than a gas station coffee. Way less than the antacids you'd need after eating sketchy eggs. But what if there's something even better? Now here's where things get interesting. Handsome Brook Farm runs the largest network of certified organic pasture-raised farms in the entire country. That's not marketing fluff. That's verified. Every single hen gets a minimum of 108 square feet of rotated pasture. And here's the clever part. They rotate flocks, so the land actually regenerates between groups. The grass grows back. The bugs return. It's farming the way your great-grandparents did it, except with modern accountability. But what really sets them apart? How they treat their farmers. Handsome Brook pays partner farms 30% above market rates. In an industry that squeezes small operations until they collapse, this company actually invests in rural communities. Wild concept, I know. The eggs themselves back up the hype. Independent lab testing shows Handsome Brook eggs contain twice the omega-3s of conventional store eggs. Not because they add supplements, because hens eating real food produce real nutrition. Their antibiotic policy goes further than most, too. Many brands say antibiotic-free, but still allow treatment before a withdrawal period. Handsome Brook, complete prohibition. No exceptions, no loopholes. At roughly $8 per dozen, people usually gasp. But break it down. That's about 40 cents per egg. Less than a single piece of cheap candy. Less than a gumball machine charges these days. You're not just buying breakfast, you're buying eggs that taste like eggs actually should taste. Rich, creamy, with yolks so orange they almost glow. Sometimes the premium option isn't a scam. Sometimes it's just better food.